on occasions. Happy February,
Biggest game
everybody. The
release of
most
February
romantic month of the
2025.
year is here, but if you and your sweetie pie don't go in for any of that lovey-dovey malarkey, fret not, because a whole bunch of video games about
Gotta see
wizards
this.
and pirates and swords and explosions and stuff are coming out too, so here are February 2025's biggest game releases. Before we get started, a friendly reminder that we do our best to make these videos as informative, comprehensive, and accurate as possible, but game release dates have a tendency to shuffle around, and human beings have been known to make mistakes on occasion, so if anything's missing or awry, I promise there was no chicanery involved.
What the hell am I looking at?
It wasn't our fault.
In fact, never play this again.
Unless it was, in which case we're sorry.
Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
Past that.
On February 4th, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 hits new gen and PC, in which you continue the adventures of that lovable son of a blacksmith, Henry of Skalitz, as he continues his heroes, or maybe anti-heroes, journey through 14th century Bohemia. It's a rarity to see a game of this scale and fidelity resist the urge to veer into fantasy territory and throw in a bunch of dragons and spells and stuff, but historical accuracy is the name of the game here. I mean, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is the name of the game here, but you get my point. If you'd prefer something vaguely rooted in real-world history, but not that much, there's also Rogue Waters, a tactical turn-based roguelite about pirates in which you'll sail the high seas, recruiting a crew for your ship, but also summoning a sea monster or two. Pirates were real.
I'm the captain now.
But there's still much debate among
I'm the
historians
captain now.
over whether or not they ever domesticated any krakens for use in naval combat. That came to PC last year, but on the 5th, it's on PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch as well. Also on February 5th, the folks behind Crypt of the Necrodancer and Cadence of Hyrule have more rhythm-based combat in Rift of the Necrodancer, which will have you dispensing with all sorts of fantasy beasties to the tune of a bumpin' original soundtrack. That's on PC, with a Switch version coming at some later date. On the 6th, there's Big Helmet Heroes, a 3D beat-em-up that can be played co-op with a pal, and which looks to have some Castle Crashers DNA. That's on PS5, Series X, Switch, and PC. If you feel like things are starting to go downhill in your life and you need a quick break where they're going even more downhill, but in a good way, there's Grand Mountain Adventure 2, which looks like next-gen ski-free. Hopefully, there's no Yeti waiting for you at the bottom of that mountain, because I hate that Yeti. That's on iOS and Android. Fly Punch Boom looks like a cross between Super Smash Bros. And a really ambitious Newgrounds Flash game from 20 years ago, which puts a heavy emphasis on ridiculously destructive anime-style finishing moves. That's been on PC since 2020, and on the 7th, it hits the Xboxes and the P stations.
I gotta pee on her. I gotta pee. Pee time.
On February 11th, global productivity is going to take a major nosedive when Sid Meier's Civilization 7 comes out for everything. And I'm not sure what needs to be said about this latest installment in the landmark 4X strategy game, but a whole lot of very smart people will sink hundreds, if not thousands of hours into it, and if Civ 6 is anything to go on, it'll likely get an Encyclopedia Britannica worth of DLC over the next decade or so. That's coming to all the consoles, and PC, and Linux, and Mac, and it'll probably come to mobile at some point later on, but that hasn't been announced yet. On February 13th, Alien Rogue Incursion will give your face a nice big hug on Meta Quest 3.
Does someone need a hug?
This hit PSVR and PC right before Christmas, and it's apparently pretty solid, though be forewarned, I'm told it ends on a sudden cliffhanger. A second game is in development, but there's no word on when it'll actually see the light of day, and considering that Rogue Incursion was never framed as a Chapter 1 or a prologue or anything like that, you can't really blame some folks who felt like they got sold half a game. On Valentine's Day, you can get a big bag of those chalky little candy hearts that say confusing things like fax me and way to go, and go on a romantic rampage in the sandbox dating sim Date Everything. As the name suggests, this game lets you hit on, flirt with, and presumably win the affections of all the inanimate objects in your home, which have been given sexy human characteristics thanks to a pair of special Dateviator sunglasses.
Been burnt by you before.
What appliance in your house do you think you'd be the most romantically compatible with? Write some weird-ass Bed Bath & Beyond erotica in the comments below.
That's weird.
Actually, I changed my mind. Please do not do that.
That's suspicious.
Date Everything is on almost everything, which is to say Xbox Series, PS5, Switch, and PC. Okay, better question. Marry, kill, Xbox Series, PS5, Nintendo Switch, go!
What the hell is even that?
If you want to rekindle things with an old flame
Honestly,
from your
man,
formative
that
years,
Switch
you
is
can
not
always spend
bad.
Valentine's Day with
It's
the
a
one and only
handheld.
Lara Croft in a newly remastered collection of Tomb Raiders 4 through 6, or as they're officially
Take it
titled,
anyway.
The Last Revelation, Chronicles, and the Angel of Darkness. That collection is coming to everything. Finally, on Valentine's Day, there's the long overdue localization of The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2, which was released in Japan in 2022 and which will now finally be available everywhere else on both PlayStation, Switch, and PC. On February 18th, Avowed hits Xbox Series and PC, which is the first proper Obsidian Entertainment RPG since Microsoft acquired the studio back in 2018.
Avowed.
With all due respect to Grounded and Pentiment, this is the studio best known for crunchy, your choices really matter RPGs like KOTOR 2, Fallout New Vegas, and the Pillars of Eternity series. Avowed actually takes place in the Pillars of Eternity universe, but its scale is more comparable to The Outer Worlds, so if you're expecting a big fat 80-hour RPG, you may want to lower those expectations by about 75%. That said, bigger isn't always better.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
For some weird reason, ever since I had a kid, it feels like I have less time to play M-rated video games with complex storylines. Go figure. And well, shucks, the idea of a short and sweet epic fantasy adventure that I can finish in less than 3 months is kind of appealing. So I think I'm gonna check this one out.
Wax, thought we talked about this.
When I was a teenager, I had all the free time in the world to play video games, but I had no money and I was still miserable for a variety of other unrelated reasons, some of which I imagine will be featured in Lost Records Bloom and Rage, the latest supernatural coming-of-age adventure from Don't Nod, the studio that brought us Life is Strange. Lost Records follows a group of 4 friends in the summer of 1995 and some dark secrets that get uncovered 27 years later, and I know it's probably a stylistic choice, but the vaporwave pastels and heavy synth in the trailer feels way more 1985 than 1995. This one needs more plaid, earth tones, and smashing pumpkins. That's on New Gen and PC on the 18th. On the 19th, Nintendo Switch gets 2023's hottest turn-based strategy
Godzilla
game starring
Voxel
voxelated
Wars.
version of iconic kaiju monsters, which is Godzilla Voxel Wars. I don't think a whole lot of other games came out in 2023 that actually fit that description, but the one that did come out on PC is now on Switch too. On February 20th, Ashen Arrows comes to MetaQuest and leaves early access on PC. This is a VR tower defense game with roguelite elements and puzzles and also archery, as you probably figured out on your own. On February 21st, people who purchase PGA Tour 2K25's Legend Edition can play the game a whole week early, all for the low price of $199.99 US.
Hopefully it comes with
That's
a
definitely
golf club or
expensive by video
something.
game standards, but it's probably a drop in the bucket
I
for any
didn't know
serious
mechanical-
golfers who
oh,
regularly
they have
shell out
simulators
club
too.
membership
Okay.
fees. Anyways, that's on Xbox Series, PS5, and PC, or on February 28th for everyone else who doesn't walk around with sweaters tied around their shoulders. If you think golf is boring and you'd rather play a game about a one-eyed amnesiac who wakes up on a
Pirate
beach and thinks
Yakuza
he's a
in
pirate, great news because Like a
Hawaii.
Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is out that day as well, and this finally gives fan-favorite loon Goro Majima the starring role in his own game, and it looks like it's going to be just as wackadoo as you might expect. The combat is good old-fashioned real-time beat-em-up
that's
action,
cool.
but you can
Into
also
the
summon sea
fire
creatures,
rings.
as some historians theorize pirates actually could. When you're not beating up dudes, you can also walk around your ship and give all your crew members hot dogs so they like you better. I'm not joking, my friend Nick played the game and he said you can do that. I cannot wait to play this stupid f***ing game. That's on everything but Switch. On the
Cannot
27th,
wait to play
Yu-Gi-Oh!
this
Early
stupid
Days
fucking
Collection
game,
collects,
huh?
you guessed it, early Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. Which ones, you ask? How about Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 2, Dark Duel Stories, Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster Capsule, Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories, which is a different game from Duel Monsters 2 somehow, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 4, Battle of Great Duelist, Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeon Dice Monsters, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Eternal Duelist Soul, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 6 Expert 2, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rashef of Destruction, Yu-Gi-Oh! Worldwide Edition, Stairway to the Destined Duel, Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship Tournament 2004, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Destiny Board Traveler. And I know what you're thinking. What? It doesn't include Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 Trials to Glory World Championship Tournament 2005? What a ripoff! I'm not giving you my money, Konami. Well, guess what? The joke's on you. It does have that one as well. I really had Yu-Gi-Oh!ing there for a second, didn't I?
It should have been me!
I did the foul
not
part
him!
for you.
It's not
Very
fair!
informative.
Anyway, all those games are now in one place on Switch and PC, and I will not be saying Yu-Gi-Oh! One more time in this video. On the 28th, people who have enough common sense not to pay $200 for a golf game can play PGA Tour 2K25. People who have enough common sense to not play golf games in the first place but still enjoy hitting things with clubs, good news because there's a little game out that day called Monster Hunter Wilds. Hardcore Monster Hunter fans are already well aware of what's going on here and probably know way more than I do, and I'm not sure such a thing as a casual Monster Hunter fan even exists, but if you happen to be one, this is a proper big, huge, brand new flagship entry in the series, and it's looking like a big leap forward for the systems and the monsters and all the stuff they put in there. Monster Hunter's World and Rise are Capcom's top 2 best-selling games ever, so it's pretty safe to assume that a lot of people are going to be jumping on Wilds, which will undoubtedly attract a few newcomers who want to see what the big deal is. So hopefully it lives up to everyone's expectations and isn't too hard to get into for the people who are checking it out for the first time. That's on Xbox Series, PS5, and PC. Oh yeah, and get this, they're doing open beta tests on the weekends leading up to launch on the 6th to the 9th and the 13th to the 16th, and you don't have to buy a $200 edition of the game. They're just free. They're trying to see if their servers work. How nice is that? Love to see that kind of thing.
Free.
Anyway, those are February's biggest games. As always, if you want to keep up to date with all the games that have ever come out and ever will come out, and which games of those you actually have time to play or own or don't want to play or hate it or whatever, check out IGN Playlist. It's like Goodreads or Letterboxd, but for games. You can keep track of your own library. You can leave reviews for games, that kind of thing. You can head to playlist.ign.com or go download the app. On that note, big huge thanks to everybody who took the time to watch this video, especially to those of you who come back every month and keep leaving really nice comments. Those cheer us up even when we're having really crappy days.
Hey, Birdie. I'm gonna take care of you, Birdie. Okay?
Before we go, maybe I can cheer you up a little bit. There's somebody I'd like you to meet who's going to be popping up in videos from time to time. This is Truffle. Say hello, Truffle. If you want to take a look ahead at some of the other games that are coming out over the course of 2025, we made a video all about that based on what we currently know. That information is going to change a whole lot before the year is over, but go give that a watch to get a look ahead at what's coming down the pipe. Have a great month, everybody. I will see you next time in March.
There is no greater thrill on earth than meeting a Walken for the first time.
That was cool. Very informative.